is presented by Benjamina Mia Casino. Licensed real estate professional since 2008. License number S01669991 LLC. To Las Vegas? Thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? From city view lofts, high rises, lakefront villas, mountain view homes, and all types of residential properties Vegas has to offer. Follow Mia to the road of your dreams to home ownership. Call 702-281-9063 or visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com. Mia is also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. With Mia Casino, you can be sure you get real estate with integrity. It's a lunch hour in Vegas, and we're on the dot with Dot and Mia here on PHLV Radio.
Hi, it's 12 o'clock. Welcome to On the Dot. I am Mia Casino. Unfortunately, my partner, Dot, won't be able to join us today because she is en route to come back here with us. Yay! So she'll be joining us next week. So I called on the next big person closest to my heart to help me out, and she is my sister, who I believe has so many fans waiting for her, who has been asking for the link for the show for today. And yes, it is also, this show is in honor of International Women's Month, because I would like to honor her because she's a fighter. She's a very, very strong woman. She's an epitome of a very strong woman. She's a fighter. And I would like to honor her because, she's been through a lot the past year. And I'm so proud of her. And to introduce her, she is a caterer. And as the show says, it's okay to play with your food. Basically, it's two parts. The it's okay part is it's okay for you to be not okay. So that's what it is. And to play with your food is the food styling part. So to introduce to you my sister, the owner, a chef, a caterer, and the torchlight of the family, Miss Geraldine Adin Martin Villanueva.
Hello, Mia. Thank you for all the compliments. And back to you, because you too are, worthy of being one of the most renowned woman of, international style, because you've been basically everywhere and you've had more experience in anything. So hats back and compliments back to you. And thank you for having me here, although we're missing that. Hello, Dot. So hopefully we'll do things as good as how you do it with Mia.
Of course. And basically, you are the guest co-host. You're the ghost.
I'm the ghost.
For this week. Yes.
Okay.
So what got you into food styling, Adin?
Well, as you already know, my real profession is basically I was an architect, but, my heart really belongs to the kitchen. And you know how it is when our father forced us, to take up the course that we don't really want to do. But, of course, we're obedient children, so we get into it. And then after that, I realized I'm really a cook. After which, with all the cooking, I actually used what I know to style my food and use my artistic whatever and use the plates as my canvas.
Yeah, because I remember at home you were cooking. You were cooking. You were baking mostly.
Yes.
Like
With
Mama,
Mama,
yeah.
we normally bake, decorate, cook together. So
Yeah, I remember you would bake cookies and bake cakes with Mama. So
I even bought my prom dress selling pulveron, if you remember that.
yeah, you would
Seriously.
force me to sell them at
Because
school.
Papa doesn't want me to go to the prom and didn't want to buy me a dress. So I was, a rebel, and I bought my own dress and went anyway. So
So tell us about your. You used to own a restaurant in San Francisco, right?
yes,
Like
I did. I had, well, I started my humble story. I started just delivering packaged lunch boxes in downtown San Francisco. And then luckily, with some of the patrons at the consulate office, they saw me wandering around the building. And then the administrative office suddenly said, you know what, we don't want you going around the building and, naglalako ako with all my lunch boxes. And they gave me a little post so that I can just sit there in one room and then people will just come and get. And then eventually they said that, can you manage the vending machines here? And we'll give you a table and then put your food there. And I said, sure. And then eventually they said, okay, we have a bigger table and an extra refrigerator, the soda brand, I don't want to say the brand, refrigerator, and I used that. And then eventually it became a cafeteria for the whole building of the consulate office. And then things got lucky. We had another branch. We had a banquet hall in Fremont. And that's where it is.
Oh, it started out with those coolers.
Lunch boxes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
That's my humble beginning.
Did you have to decorate that too?
Of course, I just made it a little bit presentable than the concoction just dumped on the lunch boxes.
What was it called?
Pakkain, that's P-A-K-K. I don't want to say the tagline because it's very, never mind. Anyway, so it was a very catchy tagline. That's why it also became popular in San Francisco.
Oh, and then you established in the consulate, right?
Consulate building,
Consulate,
yes.
yeah. And how long was business?
That was like 5 years,
Oh.
and then
You moved to
we had 2
Vegas.
branches already. Like the one in Fremont, we called it Macro Event Center. It was a building wherein we had a banquet hall, and that's where really it all started rolling. That's when we had some promotions and bands and karaoke and different stuff. So it really blossomed into something really, really nice.
Did you see any difference when you decorate your food
Of course, yes.
as to just
The
plain?
simple,
Yeah.
like what I normally tell my clients, because sometimes it takes more effort for me to plate and food style, so it becomes really more expensive. So if they don't really want the food styling and the decorating, well, they just want the tray or just the food, then that's a different kind of presentation. So it's really a little bit more expensive if I plate the food for them. And then if they don't want that, then we just go by the tray, how it goes, like the pancit tray and all that. So that's the difference, yes.
They ask for discounts.
All the time. All the time, yes. So, well, it's very disheartening when you are asked for discount, especially when you work hard for it and you spend one time in all those plates. Because I would ask you, as a real estate agent, would you give your salary? I mean, that's your salary, right? Whatever it is that you work for. If you say, can I get a discount, get it out of your salary, then it's very hurting and disheartening.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. That's what I tell them. Yeah, if you ask for a discount, you get discounted
Yes,
service.
exactly.
So, yeah. it's commensurate to what you're asking for. So,
Yes.
yeah.
There were even times when they say, "Oh, you have to take out the flowers because, that just adds cost." And I say, "You know what? Flowers are really cheap. It's my effort that you're actually paying for, and you can actually buy your flowers and put it yourself." But they would say, "Well, I like the way you arrange it." Well, then there you go.
The flowers that you use, are they edible
Of
or?
course, yes. I try to research before I put whatever edible flowers I put on my plate, and that's why I also want to warn or remind all those who want to use edible flowers as well, the way I do. You can at least Google and put in the flower, and then after the name of the flower, put the word edible and put a question mark. And then Google will actually tell you if it's edible or not, or which part of the flower you can actually consume and use for your salads, your garnish, or whatever it is that you want to put it on.
How about people with allergies, though?
Well, they have to know their allergies too. If you're in a family, then of course you know what your family's allergies are.
Right.
But if, like me, I'm a caterer, I have to ask first my clients, can you ask your guests if they have
Food
allergies, and then we
allergies.
talk about it. And then of course my research would have to always be there so that I don't cause any medical issues.
So to be able to do that, do you have to be licensed?
With flowers,
No, with
catering,
with the
of course, yeah, you have to be licensed. Oh, the Department of Health will not forgive you, if that's the word, because
They'll
you're putting
fine you.
people, you
Yeah.
have people at risking people's lives, especially when you consume things that will make them feel nauseated or even have allergies. Of course, yes.
Even when you started, with your packed food.
Yes. Even in San Francisco, we had 2 kitchens and 2 permits, because one is in downtown San Francisco, and Fremont is way like 60 miles away. So that's a different county. So we had 2 licenses, 2 kitchens, because we have to abide by, the rules of the health department.
Oh, interesting. So, your family, do they help you with the catering business?
Of course, especially in the San Francisco area. No? I have my 2 daughters. They always help me with the cooking and both with the preparation of food. And my husband, Jojo, would also be helping a lot, because at that time he had his sound system and his DJ stuff and his music collection. So it's a one family thing. And of course, my son is also a chef, as you know. So we all help each other with ideas and recipes and whatever combination of food that we have to serve.
What basically do you serve? Do you serve Filipino, American?
I do fusion, of course. Well, you know that we're Spanish, Filipino kind of cooking. And of course, we do Chinese, and everybody else like Japanese. So it's a concoction of whatever. It's a fusion of what is, what the client would want. I make my suggestions, of course, based on what the theme will be. So it's a work in progress between the clients and myself and everybody else, especially the parents. If it's a wedding, I would normally just talk to the parents, because they're more focused on the food and entertaining their guests. The bride and the groom would normally just focus on themselves, right? But if they make decisions, chances are the parents will always be having their say as well. Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever encountered any differences between the taste of the husband and the wives?
So many times, yes.
Who wins?
Well, it depends. Normally, the girl would always win, because they'd say, "This is my wedding. You're just the groom." But yeah, there's a lot of difference. You know how it is, the male and the female taste. They would, the women would normally focus more on the common type of food, wherein most of the guests will enjoy, and then go for the the creative stuff. But the men would just say, "Oh, I don't like barbecue. I would prefer lumpia." So it really
The
depends.
cost,
And then they
yeah.
have to agree first between themselves before I put in, my 2 cents worth.
What do you suggest would be a good uh, way for parents to encourage children to eat in terms of plating their food? Would you
Well-
encourage them to play with their food, or
Well, I wouldn't really focus solely on parents because I would focus more on the people who prepare their food.
yeah,
Because sometimes the parents would be too busy with their work or their jobs. And this is one thing that I would like to focus on also. The reason why I do the packaged meals and my sauces and the Adin sauces and the vacuum sealed stuff, wherein you can actually put it in the freezer and just take it down when you need it, because of the parents not having the time.
yeah.
So I save them time. All they have to do is just open the microwavable or the vacuum
Packaging,
seal,
yeah.
and then put it in this microwave or heat it up in the pot. But again, some of the working students, some of the working single, not necessarily single parents, but single people, they don't have the time. Most people don't have time anymore. So they really appreciate just buying for the whole week and then putting it in the freezer.
Pre-packing, yeah.
Pre-packing, yeah.
Pre-prepping their food
Preparing
for the
their-
week,
yes.
yeah, and then putting in the
I started that like 13 years ago, way before, those packaged meals being delivered by,
Yeah.
can I mention them? Anyway, so...
if they sponsor, yeah.
If they're sponsored, are they? I'm not
if
sure.
they sponsor, then yes.
But anyway, so I've done, my trial and errors, and I know the length of time you can actually put it in the freezer. But of course, normally it doesn't last that long. But I have tested, and most of the food that I have actually tested even went beyond 2 years, and we, tasted after a whole lot of those time, and I'm still alive.
What are your pre-packed meals?
I have a lot actually, and it really depends on what the orders are. But I have 5 most popular ones. Of course, the adobo,
Oh wow!
and then the caldereta.
And it comes with meat already, or just
Well,
the sauces?
my lunch meals always come with carbs.
Oh,
and
it's
then
a packed
packaged,
meal
yes.
already. Oh, okay.
carbs, vegetables, and whatever protein.
Mm.
So, and then they will just have to tell me. They go to my website, then they just specify and send me an email. Okay, we want this, this, this. Some of them order 5 different things at one. If I have them available, then that's not a problem. But if it's something I have to prepare, I cannot just cook for one person or one type. It has to be a minimum of at least 4 to 6 kinds of food or packaged meals.
Oh, but you have sauces too, right?
Yes, I do.
Sauces like palabok sauce.
Yeah. I have actually what we, if you're familiar with the French mother sauces, I have a version of that
Bechamel.
for the Asian.
Oh,
Yes, and then like my adobo sauce, you can actually just
what's the
add.
version of the Asian? I'm interested.
Well, of course.
Teriyaki. something like
Well,
that?
the sweet stuff. Well, yeah, the Asian is normally the sweet and the soy sauce, right? So those are the things that you can actually use for your chow mein.
Oh.
You can also use for your teriyaki. So many things. I have a list. If you buy one sauce, I'll give you some list of things that you can do, and all you have to do is just add or reduce, the sauces. And if you add water, then it dilutes it, and then you can actually make pancit, whatever, or caldereta. You can actually make into estofado, and the mechado and the sarciado. But basically, it's a tomato sauce that I do. And I also have a sofrito type of that, wherein I use that for my paella and other, the anato based and tomato sauce type of food, which is what we got from the Spaniards,
Also, it's like a commissary,
so to speak. Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
In
And
the
that's
food
again
industry. Yeah.
another time saving thing because
Right.
it's already prepared. All you have to do is just add water or reduce it to make it thicker.
Oh, very, very interesting. So yeah, that's very useful for, especially for, the working parents or the working singles
Yes.
that don't have time.
And for single parents too, of course they have to work, and then when they come home, they should be resting or have bond with their children or child, and they don't have the time. So they don't have time anymore to prepare, cut vegetables, and then most of the time they buy something that's from the chain restaurants, and it's not really advisable to keep doing that because of the oil, deep frying, and then the burger and the French fries. So we focus more on our children's food being healthy more than just bringing home something.
Right. What made you think of that idea?
Well, because I experienced it myself.
Yeah.
Being,
When you were working in the Philippines.
Yes. I had to work, and I panic every time I don't have food, and I just buy whatever it is I can buy on the way home, and I feel so guilty. So, especially here in America, nobody has the time to really prepare and cut vegetables. So we just go to the microwave and put something in there and then serve it. And that's where my heart breaks, because the children don't really eat healthy food anymore, home cooked meals.
Yeah. Oh, for the viewers, if you have any questions, just type it in or send us an email, call us. Adin here will be happy to answer all your questions.
Sure.
You have a website or a phone number
Of
you'd
course,
like to
yes.
promote?
Well, the website is AceGoodies, ASGOODIES.com. And I have Instagram too. And by the way, I also focused on the palabok, because when my son said, "Ma, you have to focus on one thing that you're really good at." And I'm proud to say that, at the consulate office, every time I would have my palabok, word would say, "Oh, Tita Adin has palabok," and they'd run up and talk to their office mates, and then they would call me and say, "Tita, can you reserve some for me?" "No, you have to come down here," and I cannot I cannot reserve. You have to come down here. And then there was a time where the lines were like forever. And when I ran out, they started saying, "Oh, you did not leave me some," But I prefer consuming, selling everything, because but it's more profitable for
spoiled,
me.
yeah.
And I
Oh,
don't wanna
speaking
be
of
spoiled.
question, we had a question when one of our guest co-hosts, Rio, was here. What's the difference between palabok and what's the other one?
Pansit luglog
Pansit
and
luglog.
pansit malabon.
Yes.
That question is variable. The answer to that
Is
is
it
variable.
is it where it came from?
Well, of course, the Malabon, they're proud of their
Oh no,
Malabon.
it wasn't Trio. Who was the one from Malabon?
But
Yeah.
anyway, as far as I know, and I can be corrected, and I'm not an expert really, but as far as I know, the pansit luglog is the thinner type of noodles,
Noodles.
and they call it luglog because according to our papa,
They look
the noodles you just luglog it, dip it in the warm
Water.
water, and that's it. You don't have to really boil it.
Oh.
So that's why they call luglug. And then the pansit palabok can be the thin noodles or the thick noodles, but there's so many condiments on top of it, like the chicharron, the green onions, the
Shrimp.
garlic thing, the shrimps,
Tinapa.
eggs, etc. And sometimes they put ground pork or ground chicken or whatever they can put on top. And the word that we normally say, "Ang dami mo namang palabok,"
Oh,
so that's
that's
why
why
they
they
call
call
it
it
pansit
palabok.
palabok. Now, the pancit malabon, as we know, has thicker noodles. And that's where the malabon connotation of the thick noodles is. But if somebody would order my palabok, I would normally ask, what do you want? Thin noodles, thick noodles, the medium size, and what kind of topping? So I don't call it pancit malabon because there's also confusion with that.
Right.
And besides, we're in Vegas. So I call it Vegas pancit.
Vegas pancit.
So again, I would ask, what type of noodles do you want? Do you want the thin, the thick, or the medium size palabok?
You're getting into the confusion now, Vegas pancit.
Yeah. Well, that's my now business here in Vegas because, like what I said, my son said you may as well focus on something because there are so many Filipino fast foods here, and you'd rather not compete with them because you're a caterer anyway. So we focused on the pancit palabok, and that's where we really, rocket boosted the catering.
And I've seen one of your posts. You have lobsters and rock shrimps on your palabok too.
Yes, that's another deviation from the regular shrimps that we normally put in our palabok. I give the option to whoever it is that orders. They can actually use lobsters or uni, if you're familiar with
Wow.
the sea urchin. We have king crab legs.
On the
and-
palabok?
Yeah, and then the big squid. We also put that. So it really depends. Sometimes we would put octopus.
Social naman ng palabok mo.
Well, that's why that makes us different. Because if they really want the regular palabok,
Vegas
then,
na Vegas talaga. Vegas pancit.
well,
yan.
we're keeping up with the Vegas style, the glimmer and stuff. We also use, the jidori eggs. If you're familiar with the jidori, the Japanese brown egg, that's the jidori egg. And
The cured one.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then we also use the anato, not just the achuete well, it's the same thing, anato and achuete, but we have our secret way of preparing our anato oil. We use olive oil, not just the vegetable oil. So there are so many things that we put in our Vegas pancit as, just to make it very special.
Different, yeah. You have a secret ingredient.
Yes.
All right, we'll head on to our commercial break and then we'll go ahead with our food preparation, food styling, and we can go ahead and play with our food. We'll be right back.
Heading to Las Vegas? Thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? From city view lofts, high rises, lakefront villas, mountain view homes, and all types of residential properties Vegas has to offer. Follow Mia to the road of your dreams to home ownership. Call 702-281-9063 or visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com. Mia is also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. With Mia Casino, you can be sure you get real estate with integrity.
And we are back. And I wanted to mention this is in cooperation with PHLV and the University of the Philippines Alumni Association in Nevada. And before we head on to our topic for today, which is it's okay to play with your food, I would like to mention that Adin was recently named 15th rank of the 25 top caterers in Las Vegas, Nevada, and among 25 private chefs as well. She, the chef of the Red Jacket, is known for her food-styled creativity in presentation with edible flowers and innovative toppings that can pass as a fine dining experience. She's recognized via artsy presentation while satisfying our taste buds. Her clients agree say while her food looks good, it tastes even better. Adin, you want to mention your tagline in Seafood City?
Which one is that?
The one you mentioned earlier about the...
should I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, not seafood in San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, it's packaged meal and pak kain. And then we came up with the shirt, and it really sold well. It's called, the tagline is "Wanna Pak" with a P-A-K.
That's not the one, though.
Oh, that's not. Which one is it?
About the food styling. I was talking about...
Sorry. But it's P-A-K. Okay. Okay.
Erase.
Oh, okay, so it's Seafood City, yeah. Okay, in Seafood City.
I was talking about the food styling part.
So in Seafood City, mentioning again, when I had my food show, I call it Luto at Landi.
There you go.
Sa hapagkainan. Okay, this is now a funny comedy show. Okay, so do I start?
Did you say it already? Luto at Landi. Yeah.
Luto at Landi sa hapagkainan.
Which is styling your food.
Styling my food, yeah. Because Landi means to flirt, right?
Yes.
So you flirt with your food.
All right. So what are you going to show us now?
Well, I will just show you one plate, but we'll toggle from one garnish to another, and so that you see the difference between using edible flowers and some cut vegetables, and sort of just play along with whatever it is that you have in your fridge or in your kitchen.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to show you also usage of some vessels. Like this one, for example, this is just a plain shrimp that I put on, this cup. It's plastic. You can just buy this at any, dollar store or whatever. And then you can put your rice there or your pancit, and then, you can use your little spoon, especially, I do this in catering, and it's more like an hors d'oeuvre style or a pica style, and this is what, some of the guests or clients that I have who use my in-suite catering, in the hotels here in Las Vegas. Now, also, I have these little vials that I use. Let me show you an example.
Oh, Adin, what did you use as like a toothpick? What is that? Like a skewer?
Yeah, this is a Japanese skewer.
Oh, where could you buy that?
Well, you can actually get it, most of the time. I buy it. Should I say the place?
Asian stores. I think
Asian
I see
stores
that
would
in
have
Asian
them too,
stores,
but not always. But I buy it at my, where most of the restaurants actually buy their condiments, their food and meat and everything. So, okay. So let me show you one. Okay, so this is the purple cabbage that you can actually use as a garnish. You can actually dip it in hot water and then dip it in cold iced water, and it's, you can already eat it as a salad. Now what I do is I shape my rice like so, and then let's just say I have a shrimp, then I put my shrimp here. And by the way, this is a paella. paella. And then I have a vial wherein I put my olive oil and annatto, and it's heart-shaped. That's why if you put it there, should I show you?
Yeah.
It becomes, you know, something special for your family. See? And then what you do is, you know, your children can actually just squirt the thing on top there. You can actually do this with toyo patisuka, since we always use those condiments when we serve our food, right? Like this one, I have the soy sauce. See, so it becomes different, right? Oops, sorry. Should I not move it, or should I just put it there? And then, you know, sometimes in your dessert, like let's say the pancake, not, well, that's at breakfast. But anyway, this is actually butter that's in here. And you can use this to stick it on your puto or your bibingka, and then just squirt the
Butter. Melted
the butter. And I also have one for my olive oil. Here you go. So this is olive oil that you can actually stick on whatever salad you have. Now also, okay, so this is one way of decorating.
Dean,
Now,
what did you use for the cup? Did you use a measuring cup?
well, you can actually use a scoop. Let me give you an example of the scoop, because that's the best way. Where is that? Oh, here. Let me show you this. I use the scoop for my paella.
The ice cream scooper?
The ice cream scooper, yes, because it's very convenient. Actually, there are sizes of the scoop, the small one, then the big ones, which this is just a medium size. See, when you decorate, then it looks more interesting to your family. And then when they want more, then you can just add, okay, how many more do you want? Oh, I want two. You know, the kids will actually play, I want to. Then you put two.
Or they can do the scooping too.
They can do the scooping as well.
It's more interesting.
So that's
to
why
them.
it's very important to indulge your kids, because when they don't like to eat because they have to play with the computer or use their phone, it's not so enticing if you say, hey, come on to the dinner table, let's eat.
Right.
But if they're going to do something interesting, and especially if they're interested in decorating their own food, then they can actually indulge in all this playing. Now here are some ways also. Let me show you the difference. Okay, this is a typical, you know, ordinary spoon. What you can actually do with the spoon is just put it like that and then swirl it. Then you have a different way of designing, see? And then you can, when you put your, let's say you have your meat on there, see the difference, okay? When you have your, this is radicchio, or you know, the cabbage, and then I shredded some carrots that you can actually sprinkle on your sweet and sour vinaigrette. And then you can actually garnish it. See the difference? Okay, this is your plate right now. But when you put something there, wouldn't that be more attractive? And if you have a party, it is actually a conversational thing when you say, hey, I like your food. You have flowers. Are those edible? Oh, yeah. You know, and then, well, again, I'd like to warn, if you put flowers, make sure they are edible. And see the difference. If I put a different type of flower, it makes a lot of difference too.
Do they actually eat it?
Most of them, they don't. But those who are really curious will eat it, you know, because a lot of people, we have to, you know, understand that people are hesitant.
Right.
But as long as I know that it will not hurt them, then I'm confident with that, even if they eat the flowers. Okay, so there are different ways to garnish and decorate your food. And And if you have a dehydrator, by the way, so that your apples, going rotten, and you just dump it, throw it, you can actually dehydrate it and use it as a garnish. Like this one, for example. I used it on this one, if you can see it. This is actually a dehydrated apple.
Oh.
Okay, and then
Like
you
the
stick it there.
preserved fruit.
See, and they'll say, "What is that?" Well, it's apple. But it's, there's so many things that you can actually use as, garnish or decoration to your food to make it more interesting. And this is actually a lime that I dehydrated also. And you can put it on drinks as well.
Yeah.
For your margarita or whatever you're serving as wine, you can also use that. So use your imagination. There are so many ways to play with your food. And like this one, if you're not familiar with what it is, this is actually plain radish that I shredded. And this is what the Japanese, when you eat your sushi and sashimi, this is what they use. It's radish.
Radish is what again in Tagalog?
Daikon?
In
Yeah.
Tagalog?
Tagalog, what is radish?
It's the white
Labanos,
one.
the
Labanos.
Labanos.
Yeah,
That's the Labanos. The purple cabbage is really very attractive when you put it on your plate. And another nice way to decorate is using an endive. See, this is a really nice way to decorate. You can, use it in your salad. When I have my vegetarian pancit palabok, I put, these endives on there to decorate. And, it's very enjoyable to eat special kinds of vegetables. Now, you can also use different shapes. If you can see that the rice is actually square.
Yeah.
Okay, because what did I use here? Okay, this is actually something that you use for eggs. So you put on your rice in there, and then you stick it in, and then the mold will be very attractive as an hors d'oeuvre. When you serve your guests who are special. And then what else? You can actually cut your green onions wherein it'll be more interesting. Okay, this is an ordinary green onion, but if I see this little bud coming out of there, I use it a lot because it's so beautiful when you decorate with it. So I cut my green onions, and if you see it, it's really very interesting when you put it on top of whatever food you have.
Looks like a plant.
Yes, and it looks lively. I put it on my pancit palabok because it gives that three-dimensional feeling of something growing. And then you can use all those, like the rosemary, the thyme, to just add up to your plate. It's really very interesting if you use your imagination and play with your food literally. Now this one is also a nice way of garnishing. Let me put it on the plate. So this is the radish, the red radish that you can actually use as well. And if you have your spices that are just getting
Stale.
Stale in the fridge, put it under the sun, and then once it's dry, you use it as a topping and sprinkle it on top of your food, and your food will look more interesting. It's like a spice that you put instead of salt and pepper. When you put something green on top, like this one, if I put it on my rice, it looks more interesting. See?
It doesn't add any taste or anything?
No, because
Changes
it's already
it?
dry. Well, unless of course it's the purple basil, then it's a very strong taste to that. But if it's just an ordinary, the basil that we have, when you dry it really dry, unless you simmer it for a long time, then it will exude its own taste. So again, like what I mentioned, oh, I have to show you something too. It's also very interesting if you, where is that? Okay. Sometimes when we do our burgers, we just put mayo and ketchup and mustard. You can actually decorate your burger on this. Let's just pretend there's a burger there. And you use your icing tips and put your mayonnaise like that, right? So that's another way of, making it more interesting. And you can use that with, whatever Thousand Island dressing and what have you. So again, the intention is to make your food more interesting. And at the same time, if you have the passion to, cooking and, playing chef, then you can actually enjoy it more when you, use your creative talent and use your imagination in preparing food.
Makes
right?
it interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, like if I may mention, if you're not familiar with the flowers, roses are edible, as the petals. But of course, don't eat the, what do you call that?
The thorns.
Yeah, because, not the thorns. You know what holds the petals? Because, well, you don't really eat that. I mean, that's going to be a little bit bitter. But the petals, yes, you can eat. Now, this is petunia.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, this is very pretty. And again, you can actually use it to garnish and put to whatever food. And then you have the violas and you have daisies. Daisies are edible too, if you don't know that. See how nice? Daisies are really edible. You can just pluck them. Let me show you something too. And I do this as well. Some of the plates that I do, I remove the petals and then I arrange it in such a way that it'll become interesting, like that. Those petals, and then let's just say there's, see, so you use those petals to add a little difference to your plate. Now, the primrose is also edible, and there are different colors. There are so many colors of the primroses. This is a primrose, and this is another primrose, a yellow primrose. See? And there's also the pink primrose, and this is a viola, and there are millions of colors. No, I'm just kidding, but a lot of colors in the violas. But don't mistake them for the vincas. They're not. They look similar, but the vincas are not edible. Now, so many things, so many flowers you can put. Over and above that, you can use the rosemary, the thyme, the mint. Those spices. You can also use those things to add, nice decorations to your
Colors.
plate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Use different shapes as well. Like this is the burger patty press. I use this sometimes with rice, to do the shape, and then I, put it on the plate, and then I top it with whatever it is, whatever viand I'm using. And you can also use the cheesecake pan, big or small, put the rice there, and then put whatever ground pork, chicken, or anything that you want to put, and then press it in there, and then open it, and then let it go to your plate. And then put your decoration. See, so many things you can do to make your plate very interesting.
Or use a different plate.
We use it, yeah. Well, aside from, using different colors of plate.
Yeah.
But of course, the plates, when you use it, and then you put the food there, the plates are not really recognizable. So I just use plain plates.
Plain plate.
Yeah, so that the focus will be on the food.
The food
rather
plated.
than the plate.
Yeah.
Okay, but of course that's also a plus when you put
Yeah.
it on a nice kind of plate. Okay, so that's just about. Let me also mention
that you might be asking what I use to shred these things. Well, these are two things that I normally use. The peeler, of course, and you can use the peeler to shape this. Let's say, for example,
Oh yeah, so
your cucumber.
you can demonstrate that.
Yeah.
That will be interesting.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, let's use this. Let's say this one. Let me remove the... When you use your peeler to make this from your cucumber, you can actually wrap your rice around it and it looks more appealing. I mean, as far as I see it. See? And then when it's revealed, oh, so it's paella. So again, another interesting thing.
Or the steak. Put it around the steak.
Around the steak. You can even use bacon.
Yeah.
Okay, you can put it in a mold, wrap your bacon in a mold and put it in your oven, and then when it becomes crisp,
Oh, it's hard.
yeah,
It
hardens and you can wrap it up. And I have this one to shred. There's a lot in the supermarket. You know, it's now a common thing. So these two come together. It's the peeler and the shredder. And this is what comes of it. And you can use it for carrots, radish, cucumber, zucchini, or anything actually you can use. And don't forget that, you know, a simple romaine can actually do wonders on your plate. While you have your salad, then you can put all your salad there.
So the tools aren't really very expensive.
No,
you know?
it's
Those are
not.
just
No, it's
regular
not.
kitchen tools.
And then also you can use, we throw this thing away after we cut our romaine. You can use this to garnish your food. Even the pechay, when you cut it, you know, the bottom part, you can actually see that it looks like a rose. And then you can use food coloring to color it, you know, dip it in a food color. And then you can have so many other designs on your plates.
Yeah.
And not necessarily throw whatever it is that you normally throw after cutting your vegetables. See? So there you go. Just use your imagination, and you know, as what you said, it's okay to play with your food.
There you go.
There you go.
Hence our topic.
Sakto.
Sakto.
Wow. Pahinging kopya, ha? Ha? What?
So if you have any questions, now's the time to ask Adin how to play with your food. So yeah, I've had my problems with my kids was they weren't into Filipino food. How do you make it interesting?
Filipino food?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for asking that. Because normally what we would do is put everything in one pot.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say, for example, we're doing the caldereta. So we have potatoes, green and red bell pepper, carrots, green peas, and stuff like that. So you might want to not saute, fry first the potatoes separately, and then set some aside. Again, I fry the potatoes first because it will not absorb the water right away.
It won't get mushy.
It won't get mushy
Yeah.
when you put in whatever liquid tomato sauce or anything. So you fry that first and then set some aside so that when you garnish, you serve it on your serving platter, then it'll add color instead of dumping everything on the plate. Besides, the yellow color will contrast the color of the caldereta. Also, you do the same thing for the green peas, the bell pepper, because you can add those color on your serving platter. So that's how you make some of the Filipino food more interesting and add more color.
Yeah.
Like the kare-kare, for example, when you put everything on the peanuts too, on the sauce,
Everything's brown.
Everything is brown, and sometimes it's not really very appealing. So again, I separate the vegetables. Sometimes I use the sitaw. I put it on a braid.
Oh yeah, you showed me that picture.
Yeah, I put it on a braid and swirl it around the platter. Among other things, your eggplant is not really very appealing when it's already in the peanut sauce. So you may as well, separate all those veggies.
Well, Adin, we're down to our last 2 minutes. You have any parting words for our viewers or listeners?
Well, all I can say is that, let's put more love to our plates, especially if it's for the family. Because when we go out to the restaurants, we pay so much for the restaurant when we can actually do it at home. Make your food look and taste like the restaurant, and you'll save money.
There you go. So it's okay to play with your food.
Yes, let's play with our food.
And thank you very much, Adin, for joining me.
Of course.
And you're very welcome to join us anytime.
Thank you. If you have me again, that's fine.
Of course. And then for my parting words, cooking is love made visible.
Yes.
So join us again next week. Dot will be here on the dot. See you again.
To Las Vegas? Thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? From city view lofts, high rises, lakefront villas, mountain view homes, and all types of residential properties Vegas has to offer. Follow Mia to the road of your dreams to home ownership. Call 702-281-9063 or visit www.benjaminamiacasino.com. Mia is also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. With Mia Casino, you can be sure you get real estate with integrity.